Today I'm talking about something that might seem boring, but it is very important, and these are Git commit messages. How to write Git commit messages and how to structure them and organize them. And if you messed some things up, I will teach you how to Git rebase, and don't worry, it's not scary at all, although you can mess up. But everything in Git, almost everything in Git is reversible. And if you manage to mess that one up, good job. When I first started developing as a part of a team members showed me what I need to read and what I need to memorize really well. And this was Chris Beam's article on how to write Git commit message. Although it sounds boring and it doesn't sound important, take a look at his featured image. Take a look at how commit messages are not well structured. And this poses a problem when you need to go through the commit messages that your team member wrote. And you need to debug something, you need to find one piece of the code in the Git history, and you don't know where to start because these are kinds of titles that your colleague or you, maybe you, write these kinds of titles, and this slows down the process of scanning the Git commit history quite a lot. Chris Beams wrote 7 rules of how to write Git commit messages. And if you don't want to read an entire article, just study them. Just study them and try to incorporate that in your own style when writing Git commit messages. What's most important, and it's said throughout the article, maintain consistency. So see what your team members use and try to continue writing in that style. Do not use past tense like fix the bug because it looks awkward when you scan through the history. Rather use an imperative style. This sounds a bit harsh because imperative style is like a command, but it looks really natural when you scan through the history. And it also aligns with the Git default writing style because Git auto commit messages like, I don't know, revert, merge, what was that, other messages also follow the imperative writing style. Now to extend on the writing style by Chris Beams, the imperative writing style, there are certain keywords in GitHub that will help you automate stuff. And what I most commonly use is when I work on a piece of code. For example, well, I usually branch out of the main. Main is force protected, and then when I finish with the feature, I merge back to main. But for the sake of this example, let's just show you the first magical keyword. Let's update the README file and commit message. And instead of the update README, I will use the first keyword. That is a VIP, and that is not a magical keyword for the repository. GitHub won't do anything special if it sees a VIP, but this indicates to your colleagues that that commit will be overwritten, that it is a work in progress, and it contains, probably contains an unstable code. And when you are working on a VIP, you maybe want to skip the continuous integration because you're working on a work in progress code, and that continuous integration will probably fail and you don't need it at the moment. Same thing, you can do CI skip or skip CI. And when you push, when you commit, what will happen when you go to actions? that CI will be skipped. It will not trigger a new workflow. Next thing what you can do, and for example, if you're using the GitHub issues, but it doesn't need to be GitHub issues, it works the same thing with Jira and linter. So you create an issue, and when you want to reference an issue, here is an issue with tag that's number 1. And let's edit the test file and commit changes again. And this is the magic keyword that will reference this commit to that issue. And when you go to the issue, you will see your own commit referenced as a part of the issue. Now, next magical keyword that is often used is when you fix an issue or, complete a feature. When you complete a feature, let's edit README again. And instead of the update README, I will say a fix README. Okay, you have to reference an issue. You could also use fixes or fixed, but I prefer to always use an imperative style. And what it will do, okay, this will not work like this, sorry. You need to use a verb followed by the issue tracker code. And it will automatically close your issue. So those are the 3 magical keywords that work on GitHub. If you're using Jira or if you're using linter, they have their own extended sets of keywords. But these keywords is what I mostly use. I mostly use the skip CI. And now about Git rebasing. So I mentioned I like to use VIP if I'm working on a branch or a feature, and I tend to do a bunch of VIP commits. And if I were making a merge request to the main branch with my feature branch, it would not look nice because it will contain a bunch of cryptic VIP messages and it needs to be tidied up. So next up is Git rebasing, the dreaded Git rebasing. Now I'm recording something. Let's see if it's okay. In rebase, there are 2. Before doing the rebase, I'll make an assumption on your Git workflow because this Git flow is often most frequently used. Well, it was frequently used in all of the teams I worked with. Before explaining the Git rebase, how it works, I'll make an assumption of a Git workflow that is most commonly used. Usually there is a central branch called main, and each of the team members works on a feature branch, which is derived from the main branch. When you are finished working on the feature branch, you make a pull request, which is reviewed and then merged back to main. Of course, there are different kinds of workflows, and there is also staging and dev branch, and there is a master feature branch, and whatever. It can get a whole lot complicated, but the gist is the same. There are two types of Git rebases that I deal with. And first one, you don't need to be afraid of that. It is just to organize your own commits in your feature branch. So let's create a feature branch. And it's clean. And I want to edit the README file. It doesn't matter what I write, I just want to edit it. And I'll call it the VIP skip CI, because I don't want to trigger the CI workflow. And what else? I forgot I had to edit also the git ignore. And I want to add other directory to ignore. And what do? Add to commit. And I add another commit. And now I have two commits. And I push to origin. Okay. But I don't want multiple commits, and I don't like how they are named. And let's look at my log file. My two commits are this and this. And I want to squash them, which means merge these two commits. And I also would like to rename them. That's why I trigger a rebase upon the last SHA, which was from origin, because this branch was checked out from origin. And my two commits show up in the interactive rebase GUI. And to squash, I do this and continue with the rebase. And now next dialog shows up, where I can go on and edit my commit message. And I don't want to throw this message. And I also don't like this message. And everything with the hashtag is ignored, if you didn't know. I'm happy with this message, and I can continue with the rebase. And now when I do a git log, okay, this looks much better. Now I'll try to push to origin. Oh wait, I got rejected. This is the reason being when you do a git rebase and already you all pushed those two commits. So your branches are not equal. your branches are not equal, and GitHub will not allow you to push your own commits. What you can do is force push, but don't ever use force because it will overwrite changes. And it is fine if you are working alone on your own branch, but if you have a shared branch, you might overwrite other people's code changes and they will be unhappy. Instead, do a force with lease, which will not allow you to force push if there are newer changes on GitHub or GitLab or whatever. This is Git specific. So remember, force with lease is good, force is bad. Well, where things get interesting and what can go wrong and probably will at some point if you're a newbie is rebasing onto another branch, like onto main branch. And that is because main branch is merged by other people and it can contain commits that are not on your own branch, and maybe you edited some file that is already edited on main, and then you have a merge conflict that you need to resolve. No need to be afraid of that. For example, I'll create another commit on main that is not on my feature branch. And let's say it would be adding something to the git ignore. Let's say we add a backup file. And I'll push it to the main. And now let's go back to my feature branch. And I did some changes on the feature branch that are not merged onto the main. But to create a merge conflict, let's create a merge conflict. And we do that by editing a file that was already edited on the main. And I believe main does not contain node modules, so that should be fine for simulating a merge conflict. We will be rebasing to origin main instead of merging because I don't want my pull request to contain an extra commit merged main into a feature branch. That is just to tidy up my commits and to make a pull request like more readable for the reviewer. And it looks nicer, and Git commit 3 also looks nicer. So we are starting the Git rebase and it is interactive. And it says that there's a merge conflict and we resolve them by going to the merge conflict. And you can use like any merge resolution tool. My default one was vimdiff, but I prefer melt. This is how melt looks like. There are 3 columns. On the left, you have your local change. That's the change from the main. And to the right, the most right, is the change you have on your feature branch. And the middle is the one that needs to be like applied and saved. And when you save the middle file, you have resolved the merge conflict in that file, and then you continue resolving conflicts in all of the files until you're done. Okay? Sometimes you need to manually edit the left file. And now you can continue on resolving other files. And to continue with the resolution, you hit this command continue. Okay? And there was only one conflict, and it was successfully rebased. If you're not sure that your merge conflict resolution is going okay and you have many conflicts to resolve, maybe that's a code smell and you need to issue git rebase abort. And that will reset the rebase as if you never called it. Another thing that you can do if you messed up your Git rebasing, you can always take a look at the Git ref log. When you issue a Git ref log, you can see that the start of the rebase was right here. And if you seem to have messed up the Git rebase process, you can always copy this SHA code and do git reset hard. Okay, this is it. Another thing that you can do, and what I mostly forget about, is before rebase, back up your branch. Okay? And go back to your branch that you are just about to rebase. This is a good thing because if you mess it up and you are unsure how to fix it, you can always delete this branch, go back to the feature backup branch and restore your feed branch from that backup branch. Okay. Other thing that you can do is maybe you don't want to go through the Git rebase. Maybe you don't want to go through the Git conflict resolution, and sometimes if you have only one commit, you can soft reset that commit, and you can soft resetting means that your changes are like moved from the commits and unstaged, and you can git stash those changes. And when you do a git stash pop, most of the times the changes that would result as a merge conflict that you need to resolve, when you do a git stash pop, somehow changes are applied in the correct order and you don't need to do conflict resolution. It's not a recipe for always, but sometimes it helps. Now when I do git push origin, it will be rejected. And why is it rejected? Because we did a git rebase, which means your commits are rearranged, they are put on the top of the main commits, and they got another SHA code. So there's a mismatch with what's in the cloud and what's there locally. So remember, force is bad, force with least is good. Now if we go back to GitHub, we'll see that some changes are pushed and we will do a pull request. And if you did everything good, you should only see your own commits. And your branch is up to date with main. and you can do a create pull request. What I want to end this video with is maybe adding some kind of commit lint. What I mean by commit lint is that I'd like to perform a series of checks, well, at least one check that commits like VIP or skip CI or signed off or any of the commits with unwanted keywords that don't end up in main. That is what I mean by commit linting. And there are many tools that do that, but I have a lazy person's commit linter that I'll show you just a second. It is my lazy person's commit linter which checks when I do a pull request to main that fresh commits do not contain these sets of keywords because these commits just look ugly to me. And this is a fast check because this works on any kind of minimal OS. Well, I put here Ubuntu latest, but I suppose it should work on Alpine or Slim without any issues. And this is a fast check, and it will fail the Git workflow if commits are not how they are supposed to be. So let's add another GitHub workflow. And let's call it the commit check. No. Check commits. YAML file. And I think this looks okay. And now we have another action. Okay, so this check passed. And I can merge my commit. So what I hope that you learned so far is how to write Git commit messages, how to use special keywords in GitHub to automate things, how to rebase, and lastly, which is optional and not many teams use, how you can add a commit linter, well, a basic commit linter, so you prevent junk commits to end up in main. I hope you like this video and thank you for watching.